There's a general rule which you'll never have to ask this question really. How wide should your feet be? So I remember when I was learning all this stuff, well, years and years ago, and I go on these courses and with very good Chinese teachers, I mean, excellent Chinese teachers, but I was always asking questions like, how wide should your stance be here? And no one ever explained to me about width of stance. I don't know why. There's such a simple rule. We've covered this before, but I'm going to cover it briefly again because it'll answer, you'll never have to ask the question. So the rule is, your hip is whatever width it is. Okay, so there's the width of my hip there. Now then, if I'm going to step forwards, so here's my outside of my right hip bone, no, my left hip bone, sorry. So therefore, if I step in the middle here, I've now got what I would call hip overhang. In other words, it isn't supported on this leg here because it's in the middle. So if my body is facing dead square, I actually need to widen it slightly so that when I go forward, this is equivalent to this, the outside of the foot. So therefore your hip is fully supported. Now, of course, in certain positions, you don't have the hip square. As it happens in this one, we did. So just to go back to when you don't have hip square, so if I'm stepping forward, but I know I'm going to finish with the body side onto you, well, look at the width of my hip now, it's that. Because looking at this is perfect in 2 dimensions. This is really understandable in 2 dimensions. Because from here you can see my hip is definitely narrowed. If I go side on more, it's got even narrower. So when you do a side on movement, let's say we're doing the 24-step form, it's the easiest one to explain. I go up, down, split, I come round, and I'm going to do passing the wild horse's mane. Passing the wild horse's mane, and I slip my heel. Because my body's side on, my hip is substantially narrower than if I went square on, which now means I've got to move a little bit wider.